Good morning, everybody. Well, we're here finally in Accord, New York in 1,000 Trails Park. And boy, what a difference this third leg of this trip has been concerning COVID. Details coming up on RVstreet. Okay, let's get right to it. So this video is the third and final leg, or part 3, of our 2020 trip from Texas all the way up to Maine.
So we're going to cover, starting when we left Batesville, Indiana, and then we're going to continue on to Genesee Lakes in Jefferson, Ohio.
Yep.
And then on to Accord, New York.
Yep. Where we are right now. And then we're going to continue up to Wells, Maine for an overnighter.
Yep.
And then to our final destination, which is just south of Bangor, Maine. So let's back up a little bit before we got here, and let's go to Genesee. That's hard for me to say for some reason. Genesee Lake. It's a 1,000 Trails Park, and we have been here before.
Yes.
It's in Jefferson, Ohio.
So we have arrived at Genesee Lakes 1,000 Trails in Jefferson, Ohio. Martin is currently brushing all of the bugs out of the radiator and vents and whatnot. But I wanted to show you, again, this is where we're parked. And we have nice open spaces again. You just gotta love this. This is our backyard. Who would not love this?
And we came here on the way home last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very nice park.
It is.
It's spread out, the lake itself is just gorgeous. It's also a place where migrating geese stop, rest, eat, and so on. So there's a lot of geese there. Joni, when we arrived at Genesee Lake and you had to register, what was that like there?
So typically I always do the check-in.
Yeah.
Martin will disconnect the toad and I'll do the check-in. And I thought I knew what I was doing this time because we'd been there before, but oh no. Mm-hmm. You were not even allowed in the building.
It's
at
COVID,
this place.
right?
Yes. They had a little window that you kind of ring a little buzzer and they'll come up to the window and they'll check you in. So I got all the paperwork, and I was informed while I was there that if we are to leave our site at all, to take a walk, anything, a mask must be worn.
The park itself is nice, especially around the lake. They have a trail that you can walk all around the lake, and beautiful scenery around there. It's a spread out park. The RVs have plenty of space between them. So overall, it's really nice. And I was talking to one of the people there, the manager, yeah, and she had been begging for a tractor, and they finally bought her one. So while we were there, they were grading and resurfacing all of the roads, and I was like, oh wow, this is awesome. They need to do this in the Conroe Park.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now last year also, when we came through here, we went to a winery.
Oh yeah,
Remember
that was
that?
nice, yeah.
But this time it's closed because of COVID. Yeah.
One thing I did notice about Ohio is pretty much everyone was wearing a mask in that state.
Yeah.
On TV, that's all you heard was COVID.
Yeah.
The news dominated COVID.
When you went to the store, I'd say 75% of the people were wearing a mask. Mm-hmm. So the further north we were getting, the more and more fear, protection, and rules, which we're going to get to that in a minute. We originally came to Genesee Lake for just 2 days, but once again, there was a storm blowing through the day we were supposed to leave. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Joni, I am not going to drive. I don't want to drive 425 miles in more bad weather.
Yeah, so I was able to extend for one more day, and we got up the next day, and it was beautiful. It was a bright, sunny day.
That front had passed through, and we were good to go. And by the way, That extra day costed us $3. So we left Genesee Lakes at about 10 after 7.
Yeah, and about
We had
there.
to get out early. We have 425 miles drive, which is something I never drive that far, but we wanted to go all the way through to Accord, New York.
So the drive to Accord, New York was beautiful.
It was.
We were on Highway 86. I mean, talk about a desolate road. At one point, Martin was actually right in the middle of the road because the road itself was kind of ruddy.
Yeah, you know how you got a section of road in each lane that's, it's all ruddy and the divide. I mean, there's nobody on the highway.
Literally nobody.
I just went over and I straddled right down the middle of it for miles. It's just been shocking to me. Indiana, Illinois, Ohio. We had to clip a little corner of Pennsylvania. Now we're on 86 going the whole length of New York. And I mean, it was like a ghost town.
I have never, ever, ever been on a highway the way we were for as long as we were and saw, I mean, virtually no traffic. You would see a random car or truck here or there, but I mean, it was literally abandoned.
It was.
Which made a great trip for us.
It did,
easy
yeah.
driving.
I mean, because normally, you're driving along, you're always watching your mirrors, and you got people coming up because they hate driving behind an RV. So you always got people pulling or nobody.
Yeah.
I mean,
for
just
miles.
weather was perfect. It was awesome. We got about halfway through, I guess, 220, 230, 240, something like that. And we pulled off into a rest stop, ate. My mind was starting to was drifting, That's why I don't like driving 300, 400, 500 miles. My mind just cannot stay focused. So after we ate, we got out.
We went on a walk. We walked around the building and,
Around the whole park area.
Get the blood pumping and
Yep.
clear our minds. And
Yep, and that really helped, I'll tell you.
yeah, so then we started going through the Adirondack Mountains, and that was beautiful. That was really beautiful.
Well, not only beautiful, but it had a lot of bugs.
Oh, yeah.
As you can see in some of the videos, it's like this windshield is just loading up and loading up. So after the lunch break, about 100 miles in or further down the road, I'm like, I've got to wash this windshield.
I have never seen so many bugs on the windshield and on the front of the coach ever in my life.
So we pulled over. It was just a small little parking area where you could put maybe a half a dozen cars and then one big rig on the left lane. And that's where we went. Got up my bucket, wet a rag, cleaned the windshield. We continued through I was calling, what are these called, Joni? The Klondike Mountains?
Yeah, Adirondack Mountains.
Adirondack Mountains.
No, Adirondack.
Adirondack.
Yeah, like the chairs. Adirondack chairs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Huh.
But they got all these really cool sheer rock cliffs where you can see where they cut the freeway through the mountains. And we looked it up online, and apparently this was made when we had the last ice age, glaciers coming through and sheared off all this rock. And they say it happened 20,000 years ago. I don't know about that, but it was really cool, winding down and up, and the coach handled like a champ.
Yeah,
it really
now,
did.
I've got to say, when we entered New York, we saw lots and lots and lots of signage about COVID.
Yes.
Probably every 10 miles. Wear a mask, stay distance.
So you got these big LED Amber Alert well, there's no Amber Alerts. It's wash your hands, wear a mask, flatten the curve.
Stay home, stay safe.
So yeah, we knew we were in New York.
So one of the coolest signs that we saw was a bear crossing sign.
Yeah.
I have never seen one of those in my life.
Yeah. I've never seen a bear sign.
No.
And I'll tell you what, that's one area I probably would regret the most if we ever had a roadside breakdown. We don't want to have one here.
We don't have bear spray.
Yeah, we don't. We have hairspray.
Yeah, no bear spray.
No bear spray. So as we got closer and closer to Accord, New York, to the Rondout Thousand Trails Park. We did a little piece here to show you some of the roads are getting really narrow now. We wanted to show you how it's kind of like going into town. And also, as we got closer to the park, we wanted to show you how to enter the park, where they register, and then how we actually manipulated our way into and got into our site. So take a look at this. So here I am with some traffic right to my right. Joni, would you show them that right there? So you can see I have to be watching that mirror and making sure on my tail swing that I don't have a car right there and swing into them. And so they have one area here roped off. I guess they're repaving it. And you can see we have got to go across that bridge. It's a wooden bridge. Okay, no, that's fine. We'll pull over there. We'll disattach the car.
Okay.
And then we'll check in.
Sounds good. It's a good flat area car.
Yeah.
Car. Good
Oh,
job.
thank you. Okay, so the fella, they just had this creosote, I think he said. You can actually smell it. So while Joni is checking in, I'm going to disattach. Now I'm continuing to back up. This is the creepiest place to get into. It's an old wooden bridge, but it's a strong bridge. It's got iron girding underneath it, and I've seen some pretty hefty pushers come in here. We're only about a little over 21,000 pounds, so not a big deal. But there's 17 right there. So here's what I do, folks, when I want to get in a place. I dive right into the spot, and then I crank it to the right. And you see that? That automatically gets me in position to back it in. So Joni's going to go ahead and get out and back me in. And so there you have it. We got backed in there, and we haven't leveled or anything like that yet. But I just wanted to show you normally what we would do before we actually back into a spot is Joni would follow me, and she'd take the cable out and check the service to make sure that we've got good service. But I had some cars back behind me, and I thought, you know what, let's just go ahead and back in. We've backed into this spot. You can see it's got nice gravel here. We look really nice and level, so it won't be a problem to finish leveling. But look, is this not cool? Look at that. Can you see that? We got a nice little babbling brook. So this is our spot for tonight. She was required to wear a mask when she went in to register. Were they wearing a mask in there?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we left Ohio, Jefferson, Ohio at 10 after 7.
Mm-hmm.
What time did we get here?
We got here about 4:15ish.
Yeah.
In about there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Got here at 4:15. Oh, and when we got here, as you saw, the guy came right up to us and said, "This is where you're supposed to go to register." I mean, he was They never do that when we pull into a park, but here, they didn't want you wandering around. And he was wearing a mask, and the whole 9 yards.
Yes, and this one you also, if you leave your campsite at all,
Yeah.
you have to have a mask on.
Joni found out it was just like a few days ago. If you came out of your coach, you had to wear a mask. But now you can come out of your coach and not wear a mask as long as you stay within
Yes.
your sight.
Yep,
We're here.
we are.
Thank God.
We're not leaving our site.
Yeah, you can't. We're gonna, but I mean, you saw the river right behind us. That's where we're filming. We have a nice little creek right behind us. It's a babbling brook.
Yeah, yeah,
It babbles all day long.
like you.
That's cute.
Yeah, I know.
I like that.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, we will pick this up when we arrive at our overnight Wells, Maine trip. Well, here we are, guys. We just landed at Wells, Maine, Thousand Trails Park.
Moody Beach.
Moody Beach. All right, folks, this is where you turn into Moody Beach in Wells, Maine. So Joni just walked into the register building there to check in. So they do have pull-throughs, and they're on the left side right here, as you can see. And what you got to do is you got to go down that road, turn left again, and then come down this way, and you pull parallel into these areas, and that's what they call their pull-throughs. And there we are in site 37, and we're level. I didn't even have to put down the jacks. Put it in park, put on the emergency brake, and open the bedroom slide. It's 30 amp, which is all you need up here in Maine. You don't need any more than 30. You rarely ever have to turn on an AC unit. And we were able to keep the tote attached. And there's our bedroom slide open. Got a nice brand new picnic table, our basil plant, and we are ready to go for the night. We've been here about 30 minutes, and I thought, you know, it's beautiful weather. The lighting is perfect. It's quiet. So let's get out here and do this video real quick. So we're winging this on the fly. So we just left Accord, New York this morning. What time? Well, actually it was exactly 8 o'clock.
Straight up.
Yep. And it's now 2:30, and we've been here about a half an hour. So there you go. 6 hours. It was almost 300 miles.
Exactly 288, and this time we did not stop for a lunch break. I just made something on the road and he ate while he was driving.
Because we actually did pull off at two different rest places, and one was in New Hampshire and one was in Mass, and both of them were so small there was no place for us to pull in. The 18-wheelers just lined up one behind another on one side, and the same thing on the other side, and there was just a little narrow thing right between and we're like, okay, so we passed the first one.
Second one was pretty much the same exact thing.
Pretty much the same thing, and I'm like, you know what, let's just keep going. Can you fix me something to eat, and I'll just eat while I'm driving? So
I said, well, sure I can.
And I will say, you've been hearing us say all along, in these previous towns and states we've been going through, it was like a ghost town. As soon as we entered Massachusetts, a whole different ball game.
Complete different story.
Yep.
There was a lot of traffic actually. Well, a whole lot more than what we were expecting.
It was pretty much like you would normally see. That reminded me of just like last year.
Yeah.
Same amount of cars, same amount of trucks, people coming and going. And they had a lot of construction going on.
And they were working in those construction
Yeah,
sites.
not just orange cones.
Yeah.
They actually had guys with orange shirts, and they were working.
Yeah, shocking.
Yeah. So going through Mass was a really good ride. A smooth ride, 60, 65 all the way through. Had a lot of steep grades going down, and then it would come and have steep grades going up. We were going through the Appalachian Mountains. We were kind of cutting across them from west to east. And I think the highest elevation was 1,720 feet or something like that.
Think about this. We've been through the Ozark Mountains,
Ozarks,
the Adirondacks,
yeah, the Kleindex,
the Klondikes, and now the Appalachians.
and now the Appalachians. Yeah. Huh. I mean, it wasn't nothing terribly hard to do, but it was a lot more traffic this time, so you just had to pay attention more. By the way, did you guys see when we had to get on what they call the Mass Pike, which is the turnpike, and you have to have an E-ZPass. And whenever you get up here in the Northeast, I'll show you the 13, I believe it's 13 states that are covered by an E-ZPass. Now, of course, we bought ours right before we went on full timing. We went to North Carolina and opened our account there.
Yeah, and I think, the whole reason he's bringing this up is because the minute that you pull out of Accord, the park in Accord, and you go to get on the Mass Pike, you're immediately on a tollway.
And you have two options. You can either get in the lane, it takes E-ZPass only, and you just blow right through. Or you got to go to the change line where you pay cash. The lines are longer. It's just a big hassle, especially when you're in a big rig, right? So just put that on your checklist. If you're coming up to the Northeast part, you have to have an E-ZPass.
And there are lots of tolls.
Yeah. So we are in Maine.
Yes. And I will say it is a cool 73 degrees.
Oh, it's 73.
It's 73. Therefore, I have on a sweatshirt.
We are literally, if you were to get the car and go right back out the exit out here, about 2 miles down the road is Algonquin. And Algonquin is a beautiful little town.
Yeah, it's a very, very quaint, touristy little town. It's really cute.
And that's where they also have the marginal way. You go to Algonquin, you find a parking spot, and it's a free walkway about 2 miles long that takes you all the way around the coastline. It is stunning.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
In fact, we did a video on that, and we did. So I'll post that right up there, and you can click that and see that video. We're here for one night. Tomorrow morning, we're going to get up when we feel like it, because we've only got how far?
I think it's about 150, 160 miles.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
What I've been driving lately, that's chump change.
Yeah, that will be like our final destination for Maine.
Yeah. And you got to remember, too, last year, if you watch our two-part series from Texas to Maine, 2,400 miles, that's what we did last year. And we took 2.5 months to get here. This year, we left Texas in May 20th, and today it's the 6th. So we have been just blowing and going, 300, 400, 500 miles a day, staying at each park about a night to, there was a couple 4-day stayovers or something like that. I mean, I can't remember.
Yeah, there were at the very beginning of it, there were a couple 4 days because I had to wait for the parks to open because everything was the delayed opening because of the COVID.
Well, and not only that, but remember, again, up in the Northeast, these parks, some of these parks don't even open until 1st of May, maybe even the first week of May. And so you have to kind of plan accordingly, because if you get up here too early, they're all closed. But anyway, that's pretty much all we've got to say. It was a nice ride. It's 10 to 3. Have a couple of nice cold beers.
Oh, yeah.
Cold beers, and just enjoy the evening here. It's beautiful up here. It's a whole new world up here in Maine. It's so serene, and you feel like your brain is getting a bath.
Don't say quaint.
I was talking about brainwashing. Yeah, and your brain
do
needs...
you have a dirty brain?
Sometimes. Sometimes it's pretty darn dirty. But anyway, we'll get back up with you for the final wrap when we arrive tomorrow morning at our final destination. Okay, so we left Moody Beach, which is in Wells, Maine. As soon as you leave the park, you turn left on Highway 1. You go up about 2 miles, you make a left, and then you got to get back onto I-95 going north. And right there, right off the bat, you got to enter a tollway.
So let's talk about tolls for a couple minutes.
Okay, yeah.
Tolls going through all of the eastern states.
The northeastern states.
The northeastern states. There is an E-ZPass or an E-ZPass.
It's E-ZPass, yes. The E-ZPass covers 16 states up in the northeast corner. So if you're ever coming up in this area, you have to make that checkbox, get an E-ZPass before you head up this way.
It will definitely make your life a whole lot easier.
Yeah. The way we set up our E-ZPass is we went online we got ours through North Carolina. You can get them from just about any state, but each state has their own little fees and requirements, and if you don't use it in a certain amount of time, they'll penalize you, and some will give you the transponder free, some will charge you. I mean, it's all over the board. So after I looked at, all kinds of information online, I thought, you know what, North Carolina seemed to be the best deal, and so that's what we did. Now, what some people do is they will get one transponder for traveling in their motorhome. And then they'll when they arrive at where they are, they'll disattach that from their motorhome and then put it in the car. And they'll use it between both vehicles. And you would register online that way. So you'd get one transponder and then have those two license plates linked. The problem with that strategy is that, and it has happened to us, you get where your destination is, and you're like, okay, let's go exploring.
Yeah.
And you take off, and you forgot to put the transponder from the motorhome to the car.
And this happened to us on several occasions in Florida.
Yeah, when we had the Sun Pass. So when we signed up for the E-ZPass for the northeastern states, we got 2 transponders. We have one you can see right here that's mounted on the dashboard or on the windshield of the motorhome. You see it right there? This is the other one. We keep this one in the glove box of our tow car. This is how big it is. We put this in a piece of foil. We put this covering into the package it came in, and then we put this in a plastic bag. So when we are towing, all this goes in the glove compartment while we're towing. And when we go under or go through an E-ZPass towway with our motorhome and towing, it will read both vehicles with the one transponder that we have on the front of the motorhome. So this second one just stays in the car until we are at our destination, then we pull it all out.
Well, the reason that that's all wrapped in foil and it's in the glove compartment and all of that stuff, because it will read that second one also.
That's right.
If you are going through with the motorhome and the tow car,
without this being wrapped,
it will read it and you will get a second charge on it.
You'll get double charged, that's right. So this protects us from being double charged. So Joni, why don't you explain a little bit about the different ways you go through some of these E-ZPass tolls up here?
Oh yeah. They have a road that just kind of veers off and you just keep going. You don't have to stop. They have the transponder at the top that will read your tags. Some of them, you've got these little tiny narrow little lanes to get through, and you're like, whoa, that was a squeaker.
Yeah. What we try to do when we're on the freeway and all of a sudden we're approaching a easy tag area, there's usually 18-wheelers in front of you somewhere.
Yeah.
Just follow them. So enough of the E-ZPass. just make sure that that's on your list of things to get and bring with you before you come up to the Northeast.
You know, I really think that E-ZPass, maybe that should be a video all in itself.
It should, and we might.
Maybe.
We'll see. So much to do. So now we've gone through the E-ZPass. We're heading north on 995. We've got about 2.5 hours or so to get to our destination, which was just south of Bangor. And all of a sudden, Joni's like, look at all these signs.
They were everywhere. Stay safe, stay home. We're in this together. Maine thanks you.
If you feel sick, stay home. Distance yourselves. Keep Maine safe. The first one we saw when we got, the very first one was like, I have a note here so I can get this right. Oh yeah, executive order entering Maine. And I mean, it was literally like every couple of 3 miles, you know, every couple of 3 miles, another sign, another sign, another sign for more than 250 miles.
There was a lot of them.
But other than the signs, as we've explained in other places, the traffic was not as bad as it was last year. Last year, you know, it was pretty good streaming both ways, north and southbound, but it was lighter traffic.
Yes.
And it was nice weather. And we finally arrived at Joni's brother's place.
So after we arrived at my brother's, we took the next day and we just relaxed for a little bit and just kind of decompressed.
Yeah.
But the following day, we had work to do and we needed to wash the motorhome and the car.
Yep.
And we spent most of the day doing that.
Okay, so let's talk about things concerning COVID up here in Maine. There's not very many people on the road up here. Hardly anybody's going to the stores. When you do go to the stores, yeah, Joni, why don't you cover that?
We had a couple things that we needed to pick up, and one of them happened to be at Home Depot. We jump in the car and we go to Home Depot, and there's a big long line, social distancing. They're only letting so many people in the store. So, and you have to have a mask on. So we go through that. Couldn't find what we needed in that store. Went to Lowe's. It's the same exact thing all over again.
Yeah.
Stand in another line, social distance, mask on, letting so many in the store. But then from there, we needed to pick up a few groceries and little odds and ends, and we just ran over to Walmart because it was virtually across the street from Lowe's.
That was weird.
That was very weird. It was actually, there was lines outside of the store. They were quite long.
Yeah.
All social distancing. You had to have your masks on. They were letting, I don't know, it seemed like 10 people in the store at a time.
Yeah.
It was very creepy in a sense that there was nobody in the store. We have not seen this since the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, we seriously, to this extent, we have not seen it this bad.
Yeah. Now, I will say they are beginning right now. It's June 15th. They're just now beginning to barely relax some of the regulations. I'm not going to get into all that right now, but I will put a link in the description area that'll explain all where they are right now and what's required to come up here.
And they're handing masks out at the door at Staples. You have to have a mask on there. If you don't have a mask, then they will hand you a mask so you can go in.
One last thing we'd like to cover is that because they're still on such a lockdown down here, or up here, people up here that live here are really suffering. Because this is what you call vacation land. This is the only time of the year people make their money. Their hotels, the bed and breakfasts.
The little shops,
The
all
little
over, like
shops,
say
the-
Bar Harbor, who are all little privately owned little shops.
Yes.
This is absolutely a tourist state.
Yes.
It's very touristy. They make their money in the summertime, and they're not making any right now.
And that summertime up here is a very narrow window. From school out to about September 15th, that's their window to make the money to get through the rest of the year. And right now, there ain't much happening.
I'm actually really concerned about how it's going to affect everyone in this area
Yeah.
and everything being shut down the way it is.
Yeah. But people, I will say, we've talked to several people up here, and they've had it. They want this state open. They're starving to death. They're losing their businesses, and they want it open. So that's kind of the opinion of the locals up here.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's really about it. We could go on and on, but this video's already become long enough.
Indeed.
It's time to wrap it up. So, if you liked this video for all these miles, hit that like button, please. And if you haven't subscribed, it's free. Click that subscribe button and ring the bell off to the side so you'll be notified the next time we upload our next outstanding traveling
Free video.
free video. Finger, that's all you need. Push, click,
Ding.
subscribe, like.
I think they get it.
So this concludes our part 3, leg 3 of our 2020 trip from Texas to Maine during COVID. We hope you've enjoyed this, guys. In the meantime, this is RV Street. Stick around.